This is Needy and Normal. Welcome. I'm your host, Ashley Levering, mom, wife, and life coach. After years of coaching and learning from my own life, one thing is clear. Meeting your needs is essential for living your best life. Here, we'll talk about your needs and not only learn to accept them, but also tend to them without guilt. Let's get needy because it's normal. Thanks for pushing play. It means the world to me, but more than anything, you are my hero because you're showing up for you. You're showing up for a reason, and hopefully it's a good one. Hopefully it was a mix of curiosity and need, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to point out those needs, make them normal, have a little chit chat, and I really am glad you're here. I don't claim to be an expert in organizing of things per se. I love purging and I do love organizing. Expert, no. Perfect at it, very far from. Do I need help with it? Most of the time. Yeah, that's the thing. But I do understand how to simplify. I do understand how to break things down. I do it more in a mental way as a mindset coach. That's part of my gig. I'm a life transition coach who focuses on self-care and mindset to get you through those hard times and those changes. And I always prove it to myself time and time and again. Time and a time. I don't know if that's time and time again. Anyway, I'm not perfect, but I do know that if you can make some space in your brain for good things, if you can purge your mind of the negative things, there are ways to sort and organize your mind and prioritize your thoughts. And therefore, it can translate into real life of what actually matters enough to you to take action, which of course is another part of what I'm about as a coach, is discovering what is important enough in your mind to bring to the forefront and into the world, right? And into action. And it could be as simple as, I really want to organize my closet, and I can help you with the mental blocks to get you into action. Okay, now let's make a plan. Now let's do it. But also, I can help you with a breakup, or sorting through losing your job, or deciding to quit your job and making those decisions. If it's important enough or taking up enough space in your mind to not go away, then we can break it down and we can look at it and we can make a plan. People always laugh or think it's silly when I say put your self-care on your calendar, down to, do you need to give yourself time and space to think? And do you need time and space for silence? In my last couple episodes, I talk about this negative effect of overthinking, and it is seriously the killer of action, and it is the inducer of anxiety, and it is no fun. It's no fun, you guys. I love this concept of clear your mind of the stuff that isn't serving you and isn't working for you, and map out a plan that makes sense and create those deadlines. Put it on the calendar. Make your thoughts and needs a business plan and just go to town because you deserve that. So I want to walk you through some how-tos, some actual practical tools that you can make use of. These are things that I teach and walk my own clients through. And it's very helpful, and it's not meant to be complicated, but it is meant to help you declutter your mind and organize the complicated stuff so it doesn't feel so intense. I had a moment a couple summers ago. I used to call August the angry August because it was towards the end of baseball season when I'm on my own doing the mom thing a lot of times, and just life, right, generally, and trying to keep myself going and the kids going and try to stay married and all the things, right? I just talked about this. But August used to be a really tough month for me, where I would start to feel scattered in my mind and I would start to feel overwhelmed by life, and I would feel disorganized just generally, mentally and physically with life. I just felt, like I can't gain control of myself. And while that's shifted quite a bit in my own practices of gratitude and perspectives and making sure to, like I said, purge the negative stuff that's literally not serving me. It's just hanging out, looming. I had this couple summers ago, in that August, I was having a session with my therapist, and she said, why do you put so much in your mind? Why does it feel like a 5 alarm? Like, let's break down why everything feels so urgent. And I realized that that was part of the reason why everything felt like it was too much, was because I made everything the same level, the same amount of priority. Something small to taking the garbage cans out to something bigger like making sure that the kids have their lunches for camp tomorrow. Or beyond, right? Like, it was all starting to feel like it was all the same amount of important, and that just wasn't the case. And I finally was seeing it clearly when she pointed that out, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm literally prioritizing everything at the same pace, at the same level, and that was not working. And so I came up with this method. It took some time. I've tested it out. It is simple. I will walk you through it. It's how you prioritize your to-dos and helps you prioritize your mind. So go get a pen and paper, and I really hope this helps you as much as it has helped me, and as much as it's helped my clients. So one of my first tools that I created as a coach years ago now, I call the priority plate. And it goes like this. So you take a clean piece of paper, put it in landscape, right? So it's going horizontally, and you draw a big circle to symbolize a plate. And you brain dump. So all the to-dos, all the decisions, all the emotional things that are taking up space in your head presently, that come up and nag you, that wake you up in your sleep. That's the first thing you think of. It's the last thing you think of at the end of the day. These are the things that are mundane, to I have to do the laundry today, to oh my gosh, I have to decide if I'm going to take that, next job, or what vacation I'm going to take, or can I afford to buy this thing I need, whatever it is. So put those things down on your plate, whatever they are, the most pressing, the most obvious, the ones that take up the most space, okay? Then, next to them, or on a separate sheet of paper, you begin pulling away the ones that feel the most pressing or urgent or important. And you have to do this almost quickly. We're meant to trust our instincts in this exercise. We're not meant to overthink in this exercise. So you grab the things in order, and I call it a priority plate because think of this as your favorite meal, right? Or you have 3 things on your plate and they're all your favorite things, or they're all different, and you want to take a bite of the thing you want or like the most first, or the thing that is the most important to you, right? So the idea is pull away to a separate sheet of paper or off to the side the words, the things that you wrote down that really need your attention, truly, realistically, or because they're the most important, or they're the thing that get you the most excited and make you feel joy. Whatever the good feeling is that your instincts lead you to, pull them aside and put them separately. Then you can start to organize. Then you can look at, well, which one should be first, which one needs to be last, which one actually doesn't need to happen. And here's the next phase. So as you're starting to organize the order of the things that matter and need your attention, you can start using this next part of the tool, which is now, next, or later. So some of these, and I like to add never. I just did a post on Instagram about this. So you're starting to categorize. I know this seems like a lot of steps, but the idea is to allow your brain and the reality of the things you actually have to do, or the reality of the things that you actually have to decide about, to kind of be broken down into smaller bite-sized pieces. So you can stop looking at all the things that you have to do as so overwhelming, and actually start to prioritize and put things in order of importance, because that's priority, right? Priority is important. So we put the important things first, the most important things first, the next important things, and the later important thing, right? So you get the point. So as you're starting to organize and categorize these to-dos or these thoughts you're having, think what on this list is a right now thing. Either it's you literally have a deadline or it's actually urgent, whatever. If it's actually a now thing and you're smart enough to be able to decipher these things. So put the things that have to happen now in their own little area. Then put the things that have to happen next in their own little area. And that could be next as in next week, or that could be next month. I don't want you to look at it so much as a time thing yet. That does play a role, I promise. But we're just going to categorize right now, next, or later. And perhaps it's I want to make a family album. Well, that's, nobody's telling you that has to happen right now, today, or tomorrow, or even next week. So it's something that's important to you. It's something that you want to do, but it can happen later. Now, here's where the time comes in. If you're putting something on the next or later category, and even for the now, it's a matter of when you're going to sit down and do it, when you're going to sit down and make room to consider it, thoughtfully map it out, if it's a larger project, whatever it may be. So make use of your calendar. I promise you this is helpful. And I know some of you are listening will say, well, yeah, I put things on my calendar and I will put it on mute or delete it or ignore it. This is going to be a practice of discipline. And when you're prioritizing things that actually matter, you're more likely to do it. So if you see it on your calendar and remember, oh yeah, this thing is important to me, or this is important to my kids or my boss or whoever, I have to do this, this matters, you're more likely to do it than if you put something from your never category as a priority, then of course you're going to ignore it. So I love the never category because oftentimes we will put things in our brain and on our to-do lists that actually don't belong there anymore. Sometimes it's one of those things that once upon a time this really mattered to me, and now life has changed, things have shifted, and it actually doesn't matter anymore, or it's changed into a different thing, a different version. I'll give you an example. Photos are so incredibly important to me. They capture memories, they capture images of my family. I really like putting them up in the house so we can all see our friends and our families. And I'm so bad at getting around to it. It's really funny to me because it is important to me. But in a way, putting albums together and organizing my photos and making sure they're saved and all of that, it's kind of become a never category because I never seem to get around to it. But it's because my perspective has changed on how I view photos. I like taking them, I like sharing them, but it's not such a massive thing that I need to do anymore because I have changed. I am more present in my life and in my world, and I don't necessarily need a photo to constantly remind me of a moment I lived because I was there, right? So occasionally it becomes important to me, but it's just not the same anymore. So if things change, your priorities can change, and that's okay. I think sometimes we get very fixated on, wait, but this is the thing I needed to do, and this is how I needed to do it. Sometimes that changes. So as much as this is a practical tool to make use of, this now, next, later, never, and categorizing your priorities and really putting them in the order and putting them on your calendar, giving yourself a deadline, as much as this is a practical habit to put yourself into, it's also mental, right? It's also that mindset exercise of, okay, well, let me really look at these things and decide what really actually still matters, because we get into a bad habit of repeating information in our minds over and over again to a point where we think that must be the truth, that must be the reality, that must be what I think, that must be how I feel. And sometimes we forget we can change our minds. We can take a step back and truly look at something, not analyze it to death. We don't need to do that, but look at it with our instincts and our intuition and really ask the question of, do I need this anymore? How do I need this? Can I change how this feels, how this looks? It's allowed. And oftentimes it's a good release of pressure when we lighten something or recreate it for ourselves or honestly omit it. There could be items on your to-do list that have been there forever and ever and ever. And I look at this as like, if there's something that I really am resistant to, maybe I need help. Maybe I'm resistant to it because it's not meant for me to do by myself. Or maybe that was an old version of me who felt like that was important, and now I'm in a new version of me and I've grown and that's not important to me anymore. But this thing over here, this needs my attention more. This is really where I want to put my energy. And I've talked about energy before, and you can look at tasks, mental tasks and physical tasks and to-dos as an energy thing. Do I want my energy to go into that? Is that where my energy belongs? Will that serve me? Will that serve my family, my friends, my coworker, my boss, whoever it may be, right? You can look at anything in that way. How will this serve me, and how will I best use my energy? Does it belong there? So it really is a both logical and emotional task to organize your priorities. And I'm sure as you're listening to me, and maybe you've done this exercise in lifetime, but most people, you kind of get the gist of it, and then you need space to be alone and be in quiet and really focus on this. And a lot of times we're jotting things down or thinking about things on the go, on the fly. And so we don't really give ourselves the time and space to actually do an exercise like this. I know I have friends and clients who sit down and on Sundays, let's say, they look at their calendar, they look at their to-dos. And another practice that I do myself and I share is my daily 3. So I mentioned this before. You basically write down the top 3 priorities for the day, and then you have your secondary list. So as you're starting to organize these things, and if you get those 3 things done and you're feeling great, that's enough, first of all. But then you have this other list of, okay, let me see what's next. And do I have time? Do I have energy for it? Would this serve me to tackle this today? Or do I need to put this on Wednesday? Or do I need to keep this on the next list for next month? And here, let me put it in a place on the calendar. So if you're one of those people that sits down on a Sunday, or a Monday morning and really likes to map things out, you also get to not overdo it. I've mentioned this before. You don't have to overachieve and super succeed in the priority department, because if you put too much on your plate, so many things won't happen. And when they don't happen, if you're an overachiever especially, or you're the kind of person that really loves to check things off your list, you put an unnecessary pressure on yourself to feel badly about not getting things done. So be realistic, right? Be efficient. If you get 3 things done in one day, don't look at it as only 3 things. Instead, look at it as, oh my gosh, I got those 3 things done, and be proud of yourself. And always take the wins. I always say even a small win is a win, and it counts. So I absolutely thrive on checking off my big 3, my priorities. In fact, I felt lost last week. My kids came in and stole my dry erase marker, and I was pissed because I wasn't going and being a problem solver and finding another one somewhere in the house. I was just irritated that I was all thrown off because I couldn't write down my big 3 every day. And that was a whoops moment, and I went and found another marker, and I'm all set now. But it's funny how much I start to rely on that, and it really helps me stay on track, and it really helps me be proud of myself, because instead of having 13 things on my list, I have 3 at a time, and I do refer to my now, next, and later list. And if I put it on the never list, it's done. It's out of my brain. It's gone. You don't have to sit and dwell on the never list anymore. If you're done with it, you're done with it. And if it's changed into something different, put it where it belongs. So this is a practice of putting things in their place, being kind to yourself, and pursuing the things that matter. And I hope that one of those priorities is you, your self-care, your self-love, whatever that may look like. But this is a practice of releasing yourself of too much mental pressure and knowing that you can be efficient and get things done in a way that makes sense for you and for your life, and you can be kind to yourself. What do you think? I would love to know if you put this to the test and how it works for you. Find me on Instagram at ABL Life Coaching. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can email me directly, Ashley at ablifecoaching.com. Go to my website, ablifecoaching.com. You can message me there. I really want to know if this works for you. And this is one of the top things I coach people through, mostly because if they're going through a change, navigating something difficult in their life, one of the biggest and easiest things you can do is gain control of your own actions, your own to-dos, and your own self-care, and it is a game changer. So I love tackling things like this. I'm here for you. Your needs matter because you matter. Take care. Needy and Normal is brought to you by ABL Life Coaching. Visit ablifecoaching.com to learn about transition life coaching, and booking your free initial consultation is easy. Be sure to find me and follow me on Instagram at ABL Life Coaching. And thanks for listening and sharing your favorite episode with a friend. See you next week.